What's up? You are watching the first ever Ask Me Anything with Mario Lopez. I'm Pete Wentz, and I wanted to thank you and thank Fall Out Boy fans for letting me get a chance to do this first. Let's get right into it. Sarah from Springfield asks, how did you guys come up with the song Uma Thurman? So for that song, we actually we'd gotten the track first, and it had this monster sample in it. We were playing it for our friends, and a bunch of them thought, oh, that's this guitar line from Quentin Tarantino that he uses all the time, this kind of surf guitar. And we were like, well, it's not, but that's a good idea, so maybe we should write one about something in the Quentin Tarantino universe. And that was where Uma came from, the idea of it, and then we kind of wrote it around various characters she's played. Phil from Toronto asks, how did you get picked to play the halftime show, like the Grey Cup here in Canada? I don't know how we got picked, I would like to think that maybe they saw us play the halftime of the Pro Bowl in Hawaii, or our songs, we've gotten lucky in the way that our songs have kind of invaded sports culture a little bit. So like maybe it's been on a highlight reel or something like that, Centuries, or my songs maybe did in the dark and maybe somebody saw it, I don't know. Certainly not because they've been watching my fantasy football team. Nat from Charlotte asks, what song was the hardest to write on American Beauty, American Psycho? In some ways, I think the hardest song to write was the title track, because we'd reached out to this producer from France named Sebastian about getting songs from him, and the idea of like producing it and making this throwback rock track, but like throwback from the future, and so it was pretty crazy, but when it came together it was awesome. Sydney from Albany says, what made you guys want to remix all of ABAP? Did it start with one song, or was that always the plan? It did start with the Wiz song, Wiz doing Uma, because we were on tour together and it seemed like it would be fun to kind of do something and he would come out and do it every night with us. But then the experiment was similar to what Paxam was, and the idea was that we do something like a reinterpretation of where Fall Out Boy's at right now, and I think that giving each song off to each producer made it like a true remix, rather than us remixing it and kind of throwing rappers on it. Destiny from Warwick asks, where and when do you believe the highest point in the entire band's career has been? I'd like to believe that we have not reached it yet, truly. We've done some like really cool stuff. Like we got, obviously we had to play on TRL a bunch, back in the day, and we played at President Obama's inaugural ball. Yeah, we've gotten to do a lot of really cool stuff. I do like to think that the best is ahead, though, Brittany from Bismarck asks, how was it recording with Demi Lovato? Honestly, it made, you can really, it really made me realize how, for this era of female vocals, that Demi is super iconic. Like when we went in there, it was like basically it took 2 hours, and half of that was just like discussing stuff. Like when she went into the booth, it was just like she nailed it right away, and she just has one of those. Like I said, she just I think has an iconic voice for this era of pop music, and it was cool to see her kind of let it rip. It was awesome. Hannah from Chicago asks, what are some of your favorite things to do in Chicago? I like to go to sports games, Bulls games, Cubs games, Bears games are a little cold for me. I like to go eat food. I like to go places that I grew up going to. Fireside Bowl, the Metro. I like hanging out with my parents there. They're still there. My sister's there. Yeah, I like just about everything there. Aspen from Riverside says, what are your favorite songs off Make America Psycho Again? I think they're all so different. I like a bunch of them for different reasons. I liked Uma because I really felt like we did that with Wiz every night. I like the Migos verses because they're just absolutely insane. I think they're all good, and they're all good for different reasons. Alicia from Auckland asks, can you act out your favorite most used emoji? My most used emoji is like the wide-eyed guy, probably. Or the straight line mouth guy. which I don't know if I can do. Jones from Chicago. Jones is a great name. Jones from Chicago asks, what's one thing you've learned over the years from touring? One thing I've learned over the years from touring is you can never have enough wet wipes. That's just the truth. Those can be a shower for you if you're, on a festival tour. Ruby from Brentwood asks, how many CrossFit shirts does Andy own? I feel like either a lot or like 3. I'm not sure which the actual answer is. He is in one every day. The running joke now is when he shows up, we're like, oh, you like CrossFit? Joycelyn from Norwalk says, is there a certain song that you must always have on the set list? It seems like Saturday is pretty much almost always on the set list, and we kind of end with it. And lots of times I think people know what we're doing, and sometimes people are like, what is this song? So, I don't know. I think it's pretty punk rock to play a song like that in like arenas and amphitheaters. Faith from Houston asks, has Joe ever flat ironed his hair? Yes. You can go back and see pictures, I think from around when we did Where's Your Boy, or maybe it was after that, and Joe has like straightened hair. Yeah. It's really long when it gets straightened. Grace from State College asks, are there any previous tours you'd like to relive? Like sometimes I like think about tours in like a throwback kind of way, and I'm like, yeah, man, like Monument Tour was awesome, Believers Never Die was awesome. But the most exciting thing, I don't think like if you went and relived it, it would just capture how it felt. So I'm always excited to do the next one, and I always have the memories from the tour before, which I think would be better than actually going back and doing it again. Michaela from Yuma says, if you could ask an idol of yours one question, what would it be? I don't think I would ask somebody a question, but I'm more of like, I would like to study people. Like I'd like to kind of like be a fly on the wall and see what Axl Rose did in the 90s, or, what Drake does now. Claire from London asks, if you could call yourself 5 years ago and had 30 seconds, what would you say? The sad thing is 5 years ago I really only texted with people, so I probably wouldn't have answered my own call. I would say life's too short to not be happy. Myself. Sarah from Calgary says, when you play the Grey Cup, how do you get to Winnipeg? Do they send a plane for you? I don't know. I'm not sure. We haven't really. We kind of just show up and we get picked up or whatever, and just, I get the plane ticket and that's all I know. So I'm not sure. I'll let you know after the Grey Cup. Reagan from Charlottesville says, what can we look forward to for Wintour? Wintour is coming, which is a tour we're doing. Well, I think it's going to be a vastly different tour than Boys of Summer. I think that we're going to switch the set list up. It's also going to be indoors. We're going to try to do some different things. We have a different staging. And obviously it's different bands with us, so it's going to be good. Stay tuned to come out. Mariah from Pleasant Grove says, what's one song you wrote that you're most proud of? I'm most proud that we write songs we write songs now that react to pop culture or get reacted within pop culture. So like, it's wild to me that like Irresistible, like we're putting out a 3rd single on this album like 15 years after we started this band. So yeah, Irresistible, I'm pretty proud of that. Haley from Indian Trail says, first you guys come out with a remix album, then you perform at the Country Music Awards. What's next? I don't know. I mean, I think that in doing Fall Out Boy in the second era, we really wanted to do things that were fun and expanded on. We wanted to do things that kind of like only Fall Out Boy could do. And I think that going from the Country Music Awards to a remix album with underground rappers definitely fits into that. I don't know what's next. I have no idea. Marina from San Diego says, what's your favorite horror movie? All time, probably Halloween, though I think that may be technically more of a slasher movie. I just saw The Visit, which was pretty freaking terrifying. Pharrell from Albany says, what song do you feel best represents the band? I don't know. I think that in some ways, like Sugar We're Going Down, maybe, because it was just like this was like our hello world moment, you know, whatever. Yeah, so maybe Sugar. Chloe from San Antonio says, what was it like performing at the CMAs? Did you enjoy performing with Thomas Rhett? Yeah, man, Thomas was awesome. He made us feel at home. It was wild being at the CMAs because we like didn't really like know a lot of people, and it was cool like to get to talk to Keith Urban and hang out with Zach Brown, and just people were really open to us, which was cool because we felt like outsiders. I mean, we were outsiders, so it was cool to like, everyone was just so nice. Charisse from Manhattan says, would you rather only listen to music or only play music? Definitely would rather play music. Listening to music's fun, but playing it is more fun. Mac from Amsterdam says, do you feel like you've developed strong relationships with your opening bands? I mean, for the most part, we try to like handpick the opening bands, and you try to get to know them. You know, like I feel like sometimes there's more of a connection than others, but I think that it's important. You know, like we didn't get to hang out with a lot of bands that we opened for back in the day, outside of like Less Than Jake. So we try to like make room for that, make them feel at home. Again, I wanted to thank everybody for all your questions, and thanks to Mario for doing this for the fans. You're awesome.